What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel for episode 18 of the weekly handheld gaming news. We didn't have a video last week. There really wasn't a lot for me to get into, and Borderlands 4 really had my attention. I was trying to test that on all the devices, but this week we've got some more things to go over. A couple of interesting items in here for FSR4, the Steam Deck, and even that new Xbox Fullscreen experience that I want to talk about, since you can actually load that up on your other Windows handhelds early. So let's go ahead and jump into it and take a look at this week's news for handheld gaming. All right, so I've been covering this interesting little GPD Win 5 AMD Strix Halo handheld since I saw it, and unfortunately I probably won't be able to get my hands on one to try it out here, unfortunately, though I would love the opportunity to do that. But yeah, they have the pricing, pre-orders, and Bayside OS support confirmed for this thing, and some of the potential US pricing that we have for this. So GPD Win 5 Ryzen AI Max Plus 395 handheld, pricing confirmed for Chinese market, and of course we've got our external battery and everything here, but GPD has announced Chinese pricing for the Win 5, its Strix Halo handheld, and confirmed Bayside OS support ahead of launch. Pre-orders in China open on September 25th with a global release scheduled for October 17th. The Ryzen AI Max 385 configurations priced at about $1,221 US. Again, by the time they get imported here, and actually I'm not sure what this price will do. We thought the Legion Go 2 was going to be about $1,200, but with some tariffs and other things, it's around $1,349. But that would make it fairly competitive price-wise to the Z2 Extreme. The Ryzen AI Max Plus 395 versions are around $1,403, and the 64GB RAM version of that's around $1,864 US, just kind of them figuring that out there. But pricing for the 128GB model has not been shared. GPD indicates global pricing could start below $1,500. So this is definitely another niche product, a very expensive product, but again, so is the Legion Go 2, so it might be kind of a similar market. As I was complaining about before, I didn't really like seeing Lenovo go way of the enthusiast or smaller niche market, because we have a lot of cool companies like GPD and Neo and others that kind of do that already, and I was really wanting the mainstream companies to come along and come out with devices that would be a little better price to performance and help grow the market. But yeah, this would be very competitive, at least potentially price-wise, when it comes between that Z2 and Z2 Extreme version of the Legion Go 2. And we're still waiting on the final price of that Xbox handheld, the Xbox Ally X, which I think everybody's pretty confident is going to land around that $899. But people seem pretty interested in this, so I kind of keep following it. And if I ever do find a way to get one here, I would love to check it out. But yeah, pretty interesting. Let me know what you guys think about this one. Very expensive for a handheld. I think you start getting into laptop and desktop and other things. I like handhelds to be $300 to $600 and $600 to $900 for more high end, but it's very interesting to see the kind of concepts and stuff that are being come up with out there. All right, here's another interesting one that's popped up the past couple of days. Xbox mode unlocked on Windows 11 handhelds ahead of the ROG Xbox Ally launches. And I was able to do this on my ROG Ally X. And I plan on making a video this weekend and getting it up, kind of more how to do it and showing it working and everything like that. I just haven't had the time yet, but yeah, it does work pretty well. You got to make some registry changes, run a Vive tool to enable features, be on preview or dev mode in the Windows Insider program and that kind of stuff. And it did take me about an hour and a half to get everything done and get it working right, but ultimately it was fine for me. But I have heard people having some issues with drivers or their controllers not working anymore or things like that. And you got to remember, this isn't official and we're forcing this to work on these devices right now, and it's not supposed to come out till next year for these. So if you're getting into something like this, just expect that you never know, you could definitely wind up having some issues. But if you get through it, it does allow you to get through, check out the new interface, see if you're saving some resources, and kind of start tinkering around with it. If you want to go back to regular Windows though and stop using this mode or get out of dev mode, you do have to do a full-on factory reset to get back. All right, something else interesting that happened the past couple of days is FSR support. This is the INT8 source code leak that enabled modders to support the FSR4 on RX 7000, RTX 3030 series, basically a bunch of other devices and GPUs, including the Steam Deck and also other Windows handhelds. So basically, this isn't the same exact FSR4 that you get when you're running on the hardware, like their 9000 series GPUs that's locked out that you can't use. You still can't use that on other devices, but this is a different version of this that is used for FSR4 that they had before the floating point version they use now. There's a little bit more input latency. They talk about 1.9 milliseconds compared to the milliseconds that their floating point gets and that type of thing based off the 3060 Ti. But apparently it does look a lot better than FSR 3.1 as far as the image quality is concerned. So I haven't gotten to jump into this yet, make a video or anything like that, but I do plan on it. I'm a little late to the game on this one, but I do want to try this on the Steam Deck and maybe the other handhelds and mess around with that a little bit. But it's always fun to see this stuff come into play. So yeah, using some FSR4 on other devices here, even if it wasn't intended from AMD or if it's not exactly what they use now on their hardware. Now, I don't want to go over all this, but something else I do want to mention is for the Steam Deck still here, and they've got a couple of updates the past 10 days or so. Some different fixes for crashes and things like that. They had a much bigger update last week, September 9th, that I would have covered if I had a video last week. But there's just a ton of added things in here for fixes, improvements, UI fixes, different thumbnail fixes, stuff for your desktop, reduced motion settings, UI scaling, all of that. So if you want to go through this, I'll put a link to this in the description. You can check it out if you haven't updated your Steam Deck yet or you haven't gotten into the patch notes. And for those of you who have been waiting for the added joystick customization for your lighting, your LED on the Legion Go S, well, they've got that in there now too. I've had so many comments from my review videos about the control for the LED on the Legion Go S. So apparently with that update, you're able to do that. I don't have a Go S here anymore now that all my reviews are done to check that out. But yeah, these updates are good for Steam Deck and of course SteamOS in general for those devices. So didn't want to skip out on that. Some great stuff here the past 10 days or so from Valve when it comes to updating the Steam Deck, and they continue to do a great job at supporting their devices. It's one thing I do love about Valve so far when it comes to the Steam Deck and the Legion Go S devices is just their support, especially for SteamOS in general. All right, this next one we'll go through pretty quickly because I made a dedicated video on this already this week, and a lot of you guys have jumped in, checked that out, and commented and everything. And this is about the frustrations growing over the Ryzen Z2 Extreme handheld launches, whether it be availability or pricing. And it just feels a lot different from what was happening in 2022, 2023, and with the Ally devices, the Legion Go, that was a fairly good price, $699 US back then. For what they were offering and all of that. But for all three main devices that are Z2 Extreme, you've got the Xbox Ally X, the Legion Go 2, and the MSI Claw A8. And all of these have been a pretty big kind of issue or frustrating when it comes to some of the launching. So the Legion Go 2, its pricing has been a pretty big shocker for everybody at $1349 plus tax here in the US for that device. Now it is a huge OLED display, the detachable controllers, and it's got all the bells and whistles and stuff that a lot of enthusiasts wanted, and that's why Lenovo went that way. So they did admit it was a more of a niche and enthusiast product, but that's a little bit of a different direction from what their first Go had done a couple of years ago. And also the availability, even at that high price, I had to get my pre-order in on day one because by the next day, those pre-orders were sold out. And right now, still can't find it, at least in my area here in the US, in stock on any website for me to order and get here. So I'm glad I got my pre-order in, but people have been pretty frustrated with that one. Now the MSI Claw A8, this is one we've talked about a ton, and unfortunately their launch has been horrible. And MSI does these crazy staggered region launches that take months and months to do, and by the time the product comes to your area, you may or may not even be interested anymore, or may have gotten something else. That's a real shame when it comes to the Claw A8 because I really enjoy the 8AI Plus, the Intel version, still one of my favorite handhelds this year. And I was looking forward to getting a hold of this one. That 8-inch screen is a great in-between point. I felt like the pricing was going to be kind of in between the, Ally X from Xbox and the Legion Go 2, but yeah, it just hasn't been available, and we'll have to keep an eye on this one. But a lot of frustration when it comes to MSI's launches. And not just this handheld, they've had issues with every single handheld launch they've done. And the only real frustrating thing when it comes to the Xbox Ally X that we've got coming up, and even the white version here, is actual clear pricing. We have a lot of rumors at $549 for the white version, $899 for the black version, and ultimately, at the end of the day, that's probably about where they're going to wind up being. But we've had a lot of information come out from Xbox. They've done a lot of marketing, and they're probably going to have a lot of stock of these things. But people have been frustrated that they can't be ready and know how much these are going to cost to order, especially now that we're about 3 weeks away from launch. We're less than a month away from launch, 3.5 weeks, and people still don't know what it's going to cost. I think Tokyo Game Show on the 25th, we're going to know and be able to pre-order and all of that. But yeah, I know it's been pretty frustrating for people that want to kind of be ready with that money, maybe save up or whatever the case. We like to know ahead of time, at least a month, if not 1 to 3 months ahead of time, what our pricing and pre-orders are going to look like for these things. So yeah, I think it's kind of still a bit stumbly and everyone's still trying to find their feet. And like I said in my last video, it still feels kind of like the Wild West of handhelds. Even these mainstream companies who I wanted to come out and really make these things take off and grow the market have really been stumbling. So hopefully that'll get better as we get into the future. I complained about it last time when all these devices came out, and I'm here complaining about a similar thing again. So hopefully they get it straightened out in the future. All right, and the final thing I want to talk about this week, of course, is GeForce Now. And if you weren't aware, if you get a 12-month ultimate membership of GeForce Now, you can get Borderlands 4 for free. So if that's something that you've been looking into, that's a pretty good deal. You'll get a discount on the membership for getting 12 months, and you'll get the game Borderlands 4, which is, I believe, $70 for free. So that might be an offer you want to check out. Besides that, we've got all the games to list out for this week, including anything that's getting supported by the new RTX 5080. So first we have Fate to Diem, which is a God Sim, a new release on Steam for September 15th. Town to City, a new release on Steam for September 16th. Goblin Cleanup, a new release on Steam for September 18th. Project Winter, a new release on the Epic Game Store for September 18th. Dying Light the Beast, a new release on Steam for September 18th, and it's GeForce RTX 5080 ready in the cloud. Warborn Above Ashes, a new release on Steam for September 18th. Jump Space, another Steam new release for September 19th. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 on Steam, Battle.net, and Xbox's PC Game Pass. Field of Glory 2 Medieval on Steam, 2 Point Campus and 2 Point Museum, both Steam and the Epic Game Store. And then we have 2 games added to the 5080 Ready games, with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 for Steam and the Epic Game Store, and Monster Hunter Wilds on Steam, ready to launch up and run on the 5080. So that's all the news we have for GeForce Now this week. A couple of great titles in there, and I love seeing more games coming into the 5080 support. It's a fantastic rig, and I love gaming on that thing with GeForce Now, even on all of the handhelds. It's been a great experience and a step up from the 4080 that they had before, just when it comes to the overall experience there. So that's all of our GeForce Now news for this week. Some great games, and don't forget Borderlands 4 for free if you sign up for 12 months of the Ultimate membership. All right, guys, that's going to wrap us up for this week. I just find that GPD Win 5 very interesting, so I like to keep covering that. Again, I'll probably have a video coming up on the Xbox mode for unlocking the Windows Xbox full screen experience. I've been messing around with that. Also, the AMD FSR4 on Steam Deck, something I want to get more into and maybe make a video on and mess with a little bit too. We have some great updates for the Steam Deck, and of course, all our things for GeForce Now this week. But anyways, guys, I'm going to leave it there. As always, thanks a lot for coming to check out the video. I really appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one.